On today's episode of Red's Reality Podcast, I, Josh Razauskas, bring you reality as I see it on the latest confirmed Reds news, a few concerns that people have, and just my overall take on who has been standing out so far in spring training 2025. All that's coming up right now. So, first of all, it's been a few days, so this might be a bit of a longer episode. Had a bit of a sore throat, and then, life just gets busy with work. So just bear that in mind with me. But let's begin with the one piece of truly concrete news that we have to talk about, and that is one that really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, and that is Hunter Green officially being named the opening day starter for 2025. Again, this is not a surprise whatsoever at all. The guy had the best year of his career last year, first All-Star appearance, clear number one ace, but the news became official, so I did want to talk about it, and it's great for Hunter. I'm happy to see it. Next, we're going to go into the concern category. Now, one of these I think is legit. The other, maybe not so much. But even with the one that's legit, I don't think it's as big of a deal as you might think it would have to be. So we'll talk about that as well. So we'll begin with concern number one, which is Spencer Steer. Now, the last time that I had an episode up, we talked about his shoulder injury is not as severe as what many thought it was going to be, and that he should be back fairly quickly. Well, that was his guesstimate and the guesstimate of the Reds medical staff and brass and whatnot. And that turned out to be an overestimate of just how severe it actually is. He's since been given a cortisone shot and is expected to miss the beginning of a 2025 season. Now, obviously, this is a big deal. We don't want Spencer injured. Spencer is one of the strongest Reds. We talked about how he is on my short list for biggest keys to success for Cincinnati in 2025. However, I think because of additions like Gavin Lux, like Santiago Espinal, and like some guys that can provide some outfield depth for temporary purposes in Blake Dunn and or Reese Hines, I think that Spencer Steer being away from the team isn't going to be that much of an impact because everyone else around him is clearly healthy this year. So far, knock on wood, that nothing else bad happens. So Spencer Steer being out, not a good thing, but I would caution you that it's not time to hit the panic button before the season even begins. And then the other concern is, of course, Nick Lodolo. Now, Lodolo did not pitch at all in 2024 and was not himself in 2023, and he's not looked right. He's looked very ineffective in spring training. His stuff has not been that great. He's been very hittable. But here's the thing, and this is why I said the other may not be as legit as you think it is, or may not be legit at all. And this is what I was talking about with Lodolo, because it's what I just said. Lodolo has been out for a complete calendar baseball year. Out for a year, people. And when he was out there in 2023, as I just mentioned as well, he wasn't himself. He wasn't able to run. He wasn't able to to do anything that a person does to keep themselves in playing shape out there. So I think we have to take all that into account and remember how talented this guy can be. And remember the fact that spring training, what it's for and what it's all about, is that it's about getting yourself ready to be the best version of yourself that you can be for the baseball season. I think Nick Lodolo still, even with the addition of Brady Singer to the staff, even with Nick Martinez being concrete, even with death like Andrew Abbott, who's expected to be number 5, Grant Ashcraft in a pinch if you don't put him in the bullpen, of course, Rat Lauder and Chase Burns. I think even with all of that going on, Nick Lodolo is still that dang good, where on paper you call him the second best pitcher the Reds have behind Hunter Green. So don't give up on Nick Lodolo yet. Now, if we're coming back here in June during the regular season and I'm still talking about Nick Lodolo does not look effective, then yeah, you got to send him down to Louisville. You got to do some things with him. But don't base what you're seeing in spring training with Nick Lodolo around the fact that Nick Lodolo is not a good fit for this team. Don't be that person, because it's spring training and that's just not accurate. Now, I wanted to close out today with, and I guess this wasn't that long of an episode after all, might be one of my shorter ones. I guess being away for a few days, you feel like you have a lot to say, and then it goes by quicker than you think. So, funny thing that. But I did want to close out today by talking about 2 guys who have really, really stood out. And I mean really stood out. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ellie to end the show. So, spring training, of course, is all about guys who stand out. And guys who aren't on your radar, but maybe should be now because of their performances. So first up, I want to talk about Luis May. Luis May has the body type of Aroldis Chapman. He is a right-handed Aroldis Chapman from when he was in a Reds uniform, when he was in a Yankees uniform, when he was in a Cubs uniform, and arguably the top reliever in all of Major League Baseball. And he is out there throwing 102 miles per hour easy gas. I mean, I'm talking about when you watch him throw, there's no effort to him throwing 100 to 102 miles an hour. He's just sitting back there and pitching. And guys that can throw that hard, but there's no effort behind it, you want to talk about a ceiling. And Luis May has come through this system quickly and fast. You see him there in Chattanooga uniform because this is his first year in big league camp. But I'm telling you what, Luis May, keep an eye on this kid, because the only thing that has kept this kid from being in the majors so far, and it's not just me saying this, Jeff Brantley said this yesterday at the time of recording this, which was Saturday afternoon, during the spring training broadcast on Valley Sports, FanDuel Sports, still getting used to the new name. But he even echoed this, and that is that the only thing that has kept Luis May from being in the big leagues yet has been the lack of consistency and lack of control. You can't just go out there and throw 102 max and expect to be successful every time. You got to keep the ball in the zone when you need to. You got to be able to move it around when you need to. And most importantly, you got to know where it's going when you need for it to go somewhere. So that is something that could potentially be a really harmful thing for his career, but I'm telling you, he is making strides forward, and I think that he is going to find that control. He has really looked good in spring training. I'm going to call it right now. Luis May is going to be part of the Reds bullpen, either through injury or through a guy maybe not performing as well as we think he should, or they just need another arm here and there. Luis May is going to be in the Reds bullpen by the end of 2025. If he's not, I will be absolutely shocked. So remember the name, Luis May. The next guy I want to talk about is Will Banfield. Will Banfield is a guy who has come out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, this guy was not on my radar. I can't think of one single Reds fan who had Will Banfield on their prospects to watch list for 2025. But again, this is spring training, and that's what spring training is for. Some guys are going to stand out and make you stand up and pay attention. And with Spencer starting the year on the the IL, again, new terminology versus old terminology. I'll get used to these things. But with Spencer starting the year on the IL, there's going to be a roster spot open in the 26th to begin the year for at least the first month or so, maybe a little bit more. And this kid, Will Banfield, he's listed as a catcher, but I'm telling you what, as far down as the catchers in the Reds organization are in the minor leagues, that's why we talked about signing Steve-O as such a priority. That's why we talked about having Jose Trevino being such a big deal, because the biggest and best Reds prospect is Alfredo Duno, and he's only 19 years old, and he's years away at the catching position. So defensively, Will Banfield's not going to give you anything, but what Will Banfield has done is hit the ever-loving cover off the freaking baseball this year. I mean, it seems like every time this guy gets up, it's either in the gap or it's gone over the fence in Arizona. And when you can hit like that, the club is going to find a place to play you. And with the roster spot open, the Reds are probably going to be in these last 2 weeks looking at Will Banfield and going, can you play infield at all? Can you play outfield at all? Because let me tell you what, him being on this roster as the 26th man would be far from problematic the way he has performed this spring training. So, do I know that's going to happen? No. I think it's still most likely going to be either Blake Dunn or Reese Hines. But I'm telling you what, Will Banfield, keep an eye on that name. And if he makes the 26-man roster, don't go, who the heck is Will Banfield? Because I'm telling you what, this kid can really freaking hit the baseball. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight again that Elliot Cruz, so far in spring training, has been hitting the ever-loving cover off the ball from both sides of the plate. And that's the key. He's hitting the ball consistently and well from the right side of the plate. And Elliot Cruz performing from the right side of the plate is something that the rest of the league is going to be heck of a scared of. They are not going to like that one iota at all. So I'm telling you what, be prepared for something really, really dangerous. If you've got a Elliot Cruz who can hit effectively from both the left and right side of the plate, and be ready for him to be even better than you ever thought he could be. This version of Elliot Cruz has the potential to be a 70-40 guy. That's the kind of numbers we're talking about. 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. That's how dangerous Elliot Cruz can be if he hits from both sides of the plate. And that's what we're seeing in spring training. And my goodness, does it have me pumped and have me excited. So there you have it. Those are all my thoughts for today. Please do let me know in the comment section down below or via social media. If you want to get in touch with the show there, you can hit us up at Reds Reality Pod. We're at X/Twitter, and we're now on Blue Sky. At the moment, that's all I'm going to do for social media because I'm trying to prepare TikTok in an effective way so that we can clip up this show and make shorter versions of the show. So there's separate software that I need for that does a little bit better job than Final Cut Pro. So I'm saving up for that. So when that happens in a short amount of time or a couple of months time, whatever it takes, I'll let you know then that we're on TikTok, and we'll do Instagram Reels at the same time. But until then, you can find us on both Blue Sky and X/Twitter if you want to get in touch with me there. So as I mentioned, let me know all of your thoughts on everything that we talked about here today and how you're feeling about everything. And as always, you can check out the video that YouTube is recommending the most to you right now from past episodes, as well as the last episode that I put out as well. And as always, stay tuned as I, Josh Razauskas, continue to bring you reality as I see it on all things your Cincinnati Reds.